Everybody doing?
We're good.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I was alive during 9/11, and I was on a college campus during 9/11, and it was a collective trauma. The nation mourned. The world was put on watch, for sure. It was a wake-up call for us all. And during this collective trauma, we all suffered it. We all grieved. We all felt fear. We all felt things in a major way. It was a collective trauma. But on the other side of this trauma, the nation united. We had leadership that brought us through this, and we had on a local level, on national levels, we mourned and we got through this trauma together. I want to say that you guys right now are suffering from a collective trauma, and that collective trauma is the pandemic, is COVID-19. You went to school. This was in March. You showed up on a Friday, had a normal day, and on Monday, school was shut down. And you didn't see your friends or your teachers or get your homework returned. Nothing happened after that point. Some kids were in the middle of track season. Some kids were at the tail end of a season. Some people were getting ready to try out for a play. Some people were practicing and rehearsing for a choir performance, and it didn't happen. It shut down. And the unity and the camaraderie and the sociality that you enjoyed, and frankly, we all took for granted, stopped on that day. And for some of you, it hasn't yet picked up again. And for all of us, it hasn't come back to anything normal that we're accustomed to. We're sitting in a trauma. In my clinics, I've seen patients, I've treated patients with anxiety and depression and insomnia for years. But since March, I've seen those numbers exponentially rise in my clinic. And I can say with certainty that across the board in our adolescent group, our population from ages 11 to 20, I'll put it up even to 24, 25, are struggling big time with anxiety, with insomnia, and with depression. And then we can go on and list even more. But I'll talk about those big three primarily. And so let me screen share a bit more, but I wanted to anchor in and make sure that you guys are present with what you're feeling. Because again, topic of this is, what if pain could talk? What pain are you facing right now? What can you do about it? And I want to show you that you can do things about it. It's frustrating to be stuck in this trauma. I have the privilege right now of teaching several kids at a charter school, and I get to teach biology. And there's about 160 kids. When the school year first started back in July, we were online at that point. Now we're meeting in person, which is wonderful to see face to face, and it accelerates our ability to learn, to be honest. But while we were still virtual, I asked the students to shoot me a video, and I wanted them to go over 5 things. And what I asked them is where they're from, what they're doing right now in life, where they're going, their 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan, a highlight from the summer, and then a challenge they're facing. Well, kids had no problem telling where they're from, what they're doing right now, although what they're doing right now, a lot of them mentioned being stuck at home, where they're going. Some kids, some of these scholars wouldn't even forecast the future. They weren't certain they had a future, which is sad, and it's a red flag. It's a red flag. That summer highlight. Some had summer highlights. Many did not. They said that their summer was shut down because of COVID. And then what challenges? Overwhelmingly, out of 160 students, at least 95% or more spoke about being stuck at home, being isolated from friends, not knowing if their sports season is going to happen or their drama is going to happen, like their play, not knowing if they're going to get back to normal life, worried about the uncertainty of the future. That's where they're at. And so when we started teaching, I leaned into that first, and I still see it. I was talking to kids this week in preparation to meet with you guys, and as I mentioned collective trauma, every single one of them in every single one of my classrooms are shaking their head in acknowledgement that they know exactly what I'm talking about, and I believe you do too. Here's what you can expect to learn today. I want you to have new ways to think about pain. There's a simple formula that you can use to feel better. Just like you can plug in 2 + 2 and it equals 4 every time. There's a formula that you can use. As you do these steps of the formula, it equals greater outcomes. You feel better every time. I don't care where you're at in the spectrum of health. If you're on top of your game, an elite athlete, you can still do this formula and get better. If you are in terrible health, can't sleep, have terrible anxiety, or paralyzed with panic attack, you do this formula, you can feel better. It's a formula that I've found and innovated over the years in private practice, and want to share it with you. Understand your body and nervous system better. It's the most beautiful creation. It's the most complex and yet simply organized creation. And I want you to understand it better. Become an expert on stress management. Learn about the conditions that cause both pain and injury. How big emotions and trauma affect you every day. How PTSD rules your nervous system, creating anxiety, depression, insomnia, and nearly every chronic pain condition. Learn release techniques that bring you back to balance. So we're going to go over these things today. And so with a notepad, if you need, I can certainly make this slide presentation available to you. But what I'm really interested in, you don't need to write down what I'm putting on the screen here. What I'm interested in is jot down your impressions about what I'm saying, because I'm speaking to you for sure, but I'm also speaking to your heart and to your mind, trusting full on that I'm speaking to an intelligent nervous system that already knows the answers. And if we get out of our way sometimes, if we put aside some beliefs that we didn't even know we had, we can get to it and allow that nervous system to do what it does best. And here's what our bodies and nervous system do best, is they heal. They recover, they repair. Our nervous system is always expanding. Every day it's gaining experience. Every experience is new neural pathways. And I want to share that with you. Let's go through a softball player. A softball player with shoulder pain. Every day after practice, her shoulder bothers her. She takes Tylenol. After a few weeks playing softball, it isn't getting better. She takes more Tylenol and still practices. Last night, after playing a doubleheader, her shoulder was aching so bad it kept her awake through the night. Her parents gave her Tylenol PM. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that approach, and that her parents are doing nothing wrong. It's just there's a new way to consider this. Her shoulder pain continues. She noticed that her throws are getting slower. She's losing velocity, and she feels pain during practice. She needs max strength Tylenol now in order to play. While at bat, she feels a sharp stabbing pain in her throwing shoulder. She's out with a season-ending shoulder injury. While that scenario could happen in basketball, that could happen in football, that could happen in soccer, that can happen in so many walks of life. What was her body trying to tell her for the past several weeks? What is the consequence of not understanding what her body's saying? Well, the obvious consequence is she's lost a season of softball. As you look into the future, a consequence is a lost season at age 15 has exponential repercussions, because during those later adolescent years is when the accelerations are happening. Those softball players that aren't getting injured, have more practice time, have more game time experience, and they carry that year after year after year. And by the time they've gotten through high school, they've had 100%, sometimes 200% For some cases, it's 500% more experience because their bodies haven't been injured. The difference between a good athlete and a great athlete is the great athletes know how to recover. And so we'll talk about listening to your body. So we have a few more minutes and we'll get into some question and answer. So think of some questions here, but I'll share a formula with you that will help. So let's talk about pain. What role does pain play in our lives? Why do we have pain? So in order to better understand pain, we need to know a little about our bodies. So consider this. Your body is highly intelligent. It is self-healing and self-regulating. Tens of millions of processes are happening right now inside of you, repairing and breaking down and ultimately maintaining the body health and vitality. This is all happening for you. And the body will give you signals. There's feedback systems, there's receptors that will let you know how you're doing. And in real time, you can assess. And pain will give you some terrific senses of where you're at. So let's look at the source of the pain as well. There's physical pain, there's mental pain, and there's emotional pain. And I'll show you how all three of those connect, and it all ends up manifesting physically. And we'll talk about that through this pain and the stress pathways. What if pain was a language and is a language our body spoke? You know, what is it saying? Physical pain, mental, emotional pain. We have knee pain. There's mechanical issues that can create that. But look at the commonalities. I wrote these with intention. Headache, stomach ache, digestive issue, body pains. Look at the commonalities. Digestive issues, headaches, body pains, stomach aches, headaches, digestive pain, body pains. How is that so? How can an emotional or mental, and mental is your thoughts, mental is belief systems, things that we don't even know that we hold dear, belief systems, and how it affects our neurology. You can, if I say pop quiz or test, and you think of that for a moment, you can feel the physical changes in your body, and that's a stress response. When our body is in a stress mode or fight or flight mode, no longer is getting blood to the vital organs. No longer is digestion a priority when we're under stress. Blood shunts out to the extremities, to the arms and to the legs, so we can either fight or we can flight. Blood changes where it goes to in the brain. So instead of being in this prefrontal cortex where we have high function executive thinking, and we have buffers and filters between us and anger or us and outrage, pain and stress puts us in this primitive area of the brain where it literally is a reactive mind, fight or flight. And if you look out and around you, most of what we see around us is in this reactionary state, and they're stuck in a pain loop. And when they're stuck in that pain loop, every system is heightened in the body, and including the pain receptors. And what those pain receptors are telling us is, hey, you've left the light on. You've left these lights on, and it's costing you dearly. It's costing you energy, and it's taxing the heart. It's taxing the digestive system. You're not getting nutrients like you'd like, and your brain is just not functioning at the capacity. And pain is the trigger that helps you, if we look at it properly, helps you slow back, or slow down and pull back. So what can you do about it? There's a simple formula, and these you can write down because it is step 1, alignment. Step 2, optimize blood flow. Step 3, reduce inflammation. Alleviate chronic stress, balance. And we'll get into each one of these, and I'll be brief because I want to give ample time for questions. Let's look at alignment. Misalignments, and I'm talking structural misalignments, but also misalignments with thought, misalignments with our ability to receive and engage the world. If we feel like no one is understanding us, guess what? You're right, and you're misaligned. If you feel like everybody understands you, guess what? You're right, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Misalignments cause excessive strain on the nervous system as the body has to compensate for tightened muscles, painful compression on joints, lack of blood flow, inflammation, improper mechanics that lead to severe injury. Alignment continued. Concept 1, muscles move bones, bones don't move muscles. Keep muscles toned. Movement is key. check the mirror and see how you're doing. If your shoulders are like this all the time, you've got an alignment issue. If your earlobes are imbalanced all the time, you've got an alignment issue. Perfect. Thank you, Marissa. Use stretching and foam rolling often. And check out David Newman's talk following this presentation. He's created a system called PopDoc that teaches you every exercise and movement that you can do based on any condition you have. It is brilliant. He is a brilliant orthopedic surgeon. Make sure your diaphragm is working and check it often. And we'll get into diaphragm. You'll notice every point along this, this formula will have a check-in with the diaphragm. Diaphragm is the breathing muscle. I call it the birthday candle muscle. So improve blood flow. Blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to every part of your body. When you're into stress mode, blood is changing where it's going. And if you've ever walked to the top row of a bleacher in a stadium, by the time you get up to that top row, your legs are burning. The reason they're burning is they're screaming for oxygen. And if you were to exercise and practice and practice and practice over the course of weeks, that burning would go away because your body has created new pathways and it's shunted blood in more efficient patterns because of repetition. And that's one of the ways that we can accelerate from a physical stance. But when we're in fight or flight mode, blood is changing where it flows. So we're getting lack of oxygen. Lack of blood flow can be attributed to nearly all injury as both the cause and an effect. Here's things you can do. Drink plenty of water. That grows the volume. It just literally grows the volume of blood. And so blood is more readily permeated throughout the body. Movement. Elevate your heart rate at least 10 to 15 minutes per day. As you elevate that blood pressure, it presses out into the extremities, into places where it does not get a normal resting heart rate. So it brings oxygen, and with oxygen, it carries stuff in, nutrients in, and gets garbage out. Posture. Posture has a terrific effect on how we breathe and how blood flows. Posture over time has a terrific effect on how we breathe and how blood flows, and you can feel it. And I'll have you every so often just check in with your posture, boom, and reset. And an easy way to reset posture is with breath. And I'll show you a couple of breath techniques. Sleep comes in to improve blood flow. When you are sleeping, you are horizontal. Your heart has found this perfect rhythm, and now your body is managing blood flow in a beautiful way. Reduce inflammation. We'll get into these just a bit, and my time will be up. It's been such a terrific opportunity to speak with you. I want to show that you alleviate stress, and we can talk about stress in the future. Show diaphragm breathing, balance. So balance mind, body, and spirit. And what to do about anxiety. There's a formula. This is the formula that you can help with all of these things. And here's my special offer. Oh, we're going to talk about PTSD is a big thing. We didn't get quite into it with release techniques. So you can deep breathe whenever you need. Whenever stress has rocked you off of your center, you can release negative and positive blockages and then fill up with being so happy and grateful. And here's my contact information. I want to give a free offer to any one of you, your parents included, but all the teenagers that can hear my voice. We have answers. We have solutions. I understand what you're going through. I understand how it affects your nervous system. I understand how it affects your health. I want to offer you a free session with me on the phone where we can go through this and I can help you release it, and where we can guarantee you move you from point A to point B and bring you back to health. This is my pleasure. I'm so grateful to be with you, and I will see you again.